There is a specific kind of daydream almost every teenager relies on to survive growing up. When the future feels entirely mapped out for you, the imagination becomes an emergency exit. In A R Burton's short story, Going Places, that map is drawn in the curved streets and endless row houses of a working-class English town. It's a place defined by industrial repetition, where the path from the classroom to the local biscuit factory is practically set in stone. But a teenage girl named Sophie refuses to accept that path. Walking home from school in the rain with her friend Janzi, Sophie talks of opening a boutique, becoming an actress, or stepping into the glamorous world of fashion designers like Mary Quant. Janzi, however, serves as the story's anchor to reality. She gently reminds Sophie that they are both destined for low-paying jobs at that biscuit factory, and that shop work simply doesn't pay enough to fund those grand visions. Barton uses this tension between dreams and reality to build the story's architecture. He maps Sophie's escalating delusion across 4 distinct physical locations: the street, the kitchen, the bedroom, and finally, the canal. Because her socioeconomic environment cannot possibly fund her ambitions, Sophie makes a dangerous psychological shift. She stops dreaming about a distant future and starts actively inventing a false present. The pressure that forces that shift becomes clear the moment Sophie steps indoors. Her home is claustrophobic, a small, cramped room dominated by a steamy stove and a pile of dirty washing in the corner. The family dynamics inside this space actively crush her idealism. Her mother moves silently at the sink, stooped with fatigue, while her father sits in a grimy vest eating shepherd's pie. When Sophie declares out loud that she will buy a boutique when she comes into money, her father offers a swift, practical correction. He tells her that if she ever gets a windfall, her absolute first priority will be buying the family a decent house. This kitchen is the physical manifestation of Sophie's limitations. It is a space where the demands of daily survival override any room for ambition, forcing her to find a different place to incubate her fantasies. She retreats into the bedroom she shares with her older brother, Jeff. In the amber glow of a table lamp, she finds him kneeling on the floor, tinkering with the parts of his motorcycle over a sheet of newspaper. Jeff is 3 years out of school and works as an apprentice mechanic. He travels to the city's far side every day for work, and to Sophie, his quiet demeanor holds the secret of a vast, adventurous world entirely outside their neighborhood. Desperate to impress him and gain access to that mysterious world, Sophie crosses the line. She invents a high-stakes story claiming she met Danny Casey at a local arcade. Danny Casey is a real person in their world, a young Irish prodigy playing for the United Football Club. Fixating on an unattainable celebrity gives Sophie the ultimate psychological escape hatch, creating a safe distance where no real relationship can ever actually be tested. But the lie doesn't stay in the bedroom. Jeff passes the story on to their deeply skeptical father, and later tells Jancy's brother. Suddenly, Sophie's intensely private fantasy is subjected to public scrutiny. Now that the cow knows, she refuses to back down. To protect her pride, she doubles. That scheduled date brings Sophie to her final physical location, a secluded path by the canal, beneath a solitary elm tree. It's a spot she played in as a child, isolated enough to be the perfect setting for a secret romantic rendezvous. She begins the waiting game. She actively imagines Danny emerging from the shadows, trying to will the fantasy into existence through sheer belief. But as time passes, the quiet sets in. The agonizing realization finally washes over her that the meeting was never real, and he is not going to show up. The psychology of this moment is entirely self-inflicted. Sophie is experiencing genuine heartbreak, but she is mourning a loss that she completely engineered herself. Her romantic longing quickly collapses into social dread. She now faces the terrifying prospect of walking back into that cramped kitchen and facing her father and Jeff, knowing her wild stories will be exposed as lies. This reveals the deep irony of the title, Going Places. Despite her grand visions of boutiques and fashion districts, Sophie goes nowhere. Her journeys are entirely confined within the prison of her own imagination. This analysis text outlines the core psychological lesson. Fantasizing is a cushion against harsh reality, but comes with severe disadvantages when replacing action. The notes highlight this collision with reality, suggesting a healthy balance. Keep dreaming, but take one small, real step forward. A teenager's daydream crosses a critical line the moment it becomes a substitute for action. When that happens, imagination stops being an escape route and becomes a dead end.